Welcome to Whatcha Makin, a podcast about sharing ideas, discussing the business of making, and connecting with the maker community. Your hosts are Alex Adams, an engineer turned furniture maker of Type A Furniture, and an alien pretending to be a DIY craftsman, Alex Duffey of Duffey Woodcraft. This is Whatcha Makin.
Hello, makers, and welcome to Whatcha Makin, a podcast where we talk all about what's on our bench, spotlight makers throughout the community, and remind you that there's only 15 days left until Christmas, which means you still have plenty of time to mail those gifts to Alex and I. Anyways, tonight's main topic is sourcing wood, rough or milled. I'm Alex Duffey, and you can find me on Instagram and on YouTube at Duffey Woodcraft, and on our CNC with Us server on Discord.
15 days, it doesn't seem like it's that close. And that's also when wait, is that from when we're recording? Or when we're supposed to release?
This airs.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm having to do my brain is fried from Thanksgiving. It's still catching up, so sorry about that.
You had to do math and you just ruined the whole opening.
I'm supposed to do math. As an engineer, it was what I was born to do. Anyway, I am Alex over at Type A Furniture on Instagram. And if you don't want to do a whole lot of math, just pick a tier over at patreon.com/whatchamakinshow. Just pick a tier, any tier. Doesn't matter. Find one and stick with it, and you'll be golden, and you'll love it. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
What you doing?
I was teeing that up. It was not supposed to play. It is the gift that keeps on giving up.
Yeah, it definitely is. Okay.
Anyways.
What you doing?
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so this week on Whatcha Makin, I have been focused on my shop upgrade, as I've been doing over the last couple weeks, and I'm 99.9% finished. I'm just in those final little touches left in the shop upgrade. So the flooring is on the wall. Sounds funny. The things that go on the wall are hung back up again. The new workbench is completely built, and everything is put away in the bench the way it's supposed to be. So now I just have some final little cleanup to do. And I've been sitting here like this evening. I was looking at the bench as I was putting stuff away, and I'm thinking I'm going to paint the top of it, because right now it's just one giant piece of plywood. And yes, the CNC will go on that, and the spoil board and stuff, but I'm thinking I want to paint it so it's not just wood. So I might run to the store and grab some paint. And I'm thinking either a dark gray or a dark blue. I haven't decided yet.
Wait, so this is what the CNC essentially rests on for the platform?
Yeah. So the CNC will go on top of that, and it's basically the plywood finish that's on top, that it sits on top of. And right now it's just raw plywood. And I've been thinking I want to paint it so it's not just raw plywood.
Is that going to be funky at all if you put paint on there? If it's like,
I don't think so.
Well, because does it have like rubber feet on the bottom of the CNC, or how is it?
Yeah. So like my current CNC is, because it's a next wave and it's a full aluminum base and everything, but it has HDPE feet that the aluminum base sits on.
Oh, okay.
So that would be what's touching.
If it was just like the
wood,
like the rails of it on paint, I feel as though that'd be kind of weird and funky with, small vibrations and stuff. It being like kind of like grabby and whatnot. I guess it depends on what kind of paint you would put on it. I guess I'm thinking of like the thicker like paint, but not the like super thin stuff.
Easy like acrylic, or not acrylic, but latex paint.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, that's what I'm thinking. I haven't completely decided yet, but I've been focused on that. Part of the upgrade is, as I'm putting things back, I have a Shop Fox wall-mounted dust extractor that goes just for the CNC, and I hate the bag that comes with it. And I hate the bag that comes with all dust or wall-mounted ones, because they're super dusty. They're a pain to take on and off. So I'm just not a fan. So I decided to spend the money, and I bought the upgrade kit to upgrade it to a canister filter than with just little tiny catch bag at the bottom. So I'm going to do that, which I'm excited about. And actually, as we were setting up for the show, I saw Amazon deliver that box. So I get to go do that after the show.
Yay. Yeah, the top
Yay.
bag of that stuff, I have also struggled with it because sometimes you can't get a good seal on there, and so you have a little bit of like whoosh of air that kind of comes out, and it kind of defeats the purpose of filtering. So I can't remember if I had mentioned this, but I actually put in like a little foam strip on like the one side because it's the spot where like that whatever the steel band mechanism is, like that's the portion where it kind of like lifts up a little bit so the pressure is not even, so that's the spot that's most susceptible, at least on the one that I have, to like leakage and whatnot.
And I don't like also that because it's thick and it's not even canvas, it's cotton material, filter material. I hate that all dust is attracted to it and it just looks ugly after a certain amount of time. So I'm looking forward to that upgrade. And then finally, what I was working on this week, I have a custom order for Columbia footwear. I was doing those acrylic templates I talked about last week. I did get them all cut out, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in the Whatcha Makin section because it didn't go so well at the beginning, and that was my own fault. But they all got cut out and delivered, which is good. So that was a quick, very, very quick turnaround. They were very impressed, and even put a testimonial on my website for it. So I was excited.
Oh, that's good. Now I was going to ask one last thing on the filter. Is it the kind that has like the little flaps that you like rotate around to like knock the dust off, or do you have like the thumper thing on it?
It's got a handle on the side that you turn around and it runs the flap on the inside to knock the dust off. I really like that mechanism. I think it's really well done versus the one that you have to like hit it. So
is that all the stuff that you had?
Yeah. What have you been doing? That's all I've been doing as far as making goes.
Yeah. I've been making lots of 3D printing stuff. So over because this past week was Thanksgiving, and so I had been doing more with printing with PETG. So I had been doing more of those trailer hitch covers. And so I've been kind of going through the process of getting to know how it prints a little bit differently than PLA and the kind of the intricacies that come with it, because I also realized that I did actually order a filament dryer. So I actually got one that has a I don't have it now, but the one that I ordered, it heats as well as rotates the spool of filament as it does it, so you get more even heating and thus drying. So that takes 2 spools of filament. Because I
wonder if it's the same one I got. That sounds exactly like the one I bought.
I think the name is like eBios or something like that. eBoys, something along those. It's rectangular in shape.
It's behind the. Yeah, is it like tan with a clear top?
No, I'm pretty sure it's black. But anyway, honestly, it was the only one that I could find.
They probably all are about the same.
Yeah, it was the only one that I could find, at least in that price category, that actually rotated the filament spools, because I couldn't find much else for others that did that. I know that the AMS2 would have been nice, but that's like twice as expensive as just like a standalone dryer, and that one does not dry while it's being used for like the filament rolls being used as it's printing. So it's kind of limited there. So it's like, I did do it's a version of trying to dry your filament using your 3D printer with your base plate as the heat source. So you take essentially the box that it came in, put it over top the spool. You have to like cut out the one side so it's open on the bottom, and then poke holes in the top.
Mm-hmm.
So you like take some skids of cardboard, set it on the bed of the 3D printer, put the spool on top of that, so there's no direct contact between the spool and the actual heat bed, and then you put the cardboard box over it, and the intention is you heat it up to the temperature that that filament is supposed to dry at, and because it's enclosed and you've got the heat source on the bottom, that you will essentially dry it. But I don't know, it was kind of tough to know how effective it was, just because I don't have a whole lot of ways to measure how filament is in terms of like, is it super saturated or not, other than running it through the printer and seeing how the print quality is. But anyway, I've been doing lots of 3D printing. I've also been messing around with some filament from Sunlu that I had ordered. So I got some silk filament from Sunlu that I've been playing with, and I've been really impressed with it. It seems to print really clean, and I think in looking at the packaging that it came in, they sealed it and like pulled out so much air in there that the the sides of the filament spool were like kind of getting pulled down, like the suction on it was like that intense. So I was like, these are pretty well sealed to keep the moisture maintained. Because albeit I've ordered a lot of filament from Bamboo, and I've had maybe like one in every 20, like there's not proper suction sealing on the PLA. You can tell that it doesn't have that like shrink wrap, like completely sealed. It's like loose. So you know that like either they didn't suck out much air or somehow it got like punctured on the way or something along those lines. So, I mean, it's hard to know at this point if Sunlu is like better overall in quality, because it's literally the first 4 spools of filament that I've gotten from them. So it's kind of hard to know, is that like a trend, or is it like, you just got the lucky one and you got a good one. But anyway, so far it's been printing really well with the silk PLA, and it's because it's in a 4-pack, it's a much more discounted price than what I can get the silk multicolor filament from Bamboo, because they have price breaks on Bamboo for their filament, where if you buy so many rolls and you get this percentage off, but that does not apply to their multicolor silk PLA. So that stuff is still like in the low 20s, I think, per spool, whereas these ones from Sunlu that I got in that package that's grouped together, that's like $12 a roll or something like that, which is much more in line with what I can get the other types of Bamboo filament for. So it's giving me good print quality, and the price is good. So far I'm liking that quite a bit.
Nice.
What else I have been doing is, so during some of the Thanksgiving stuff, I could be on my phone as well as my computer sometimes, just cleaning up files and optimizing files, getting hitch cover 3D prints ready for when I get around to some of those designs where you put multiple on a bed. So instead of just having one item on a bed, you've got multiple that are getting made, so you can spread all of that time across the entirety of that 3D print. And I also needed to clean up some of my 3D print files so that the folders were not just spewed everywhere. I also organized the name of the files based on what the item is, how many quantity I have in there, about how long it takes to print, and then how many colors I need, and the type of filament that I have. So then
Fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it.
Well, if that's what you've been making, what have you been breaking then this week?
So getting to learn how to print a different filament does not come without its own challenges. So one of the issues that I had was with printing some of this stuff with PETG. I was getting some bed adhesion issues with the first layer, and I think it was primarily heat was probably the issue, because we had our first like like actual snow come through this past weekend, which came with temperature that was below freezing, not below zero. And so you get a change in the temperature in the house because the 3D print room that I have it's in a room where it doesn't get a whole lot of extra air. So it kind of goes to the extremes of the temperatures, whatever season it is. So like if it's summer, it's going to be a little bit warmer. In the winter, it's a little bit cooler. So I think we just might have hit about the exact same time where I just need to bump up the bed temperature by 5 degrees Celsius and it helps it out just fine, which a lot of times can help out with those initial bed adhesion issues if that's a problem that's popping up. Because at first I thought it was the textured PEI plate that I have, because I put a lot of prints on those and I know that adhesion starts to slowly decline on the age of the plate. And so I had put a brand new plate on it that was completely fresh and it printed just fine. So initially I thought it might have been the issue, but who knows? There's lots of variables that are switching around. And the one thing that I was super mad about was that textured plate. It was one side is textured and the other side is a smooth side. I have not used the smooth side at all, and there must have been like the tiniest pebble of something on the other side that made like a little like dimple on like the middle of that plate, because it's that kind of like smooth vinyl feeling kind of material, and you just kind of see this little like dimple. It's almost like the smallest like hail dent on a car, where it's like you hit it at the right light and it's like, oh my gosh. So I was kind of upset about that, but I was like, I don't really use the smooth side at all, so it's not that bad. But it was still kind of a bummer. It's like I hadn't used it, and I think I need to just clean it's not the bed itself, but I don't know what you call the bed without the plate. The bed. Anyway, I think I need to clean that off a little bit because it was the oldest printer that I have that has the most prints on it. So, because it almost looks like there's like oily, like dark streaks on that side as well. So I don't know if that's just like oil from like hands, or if like I got a couple of drops of like the lubricating oil that you occasionally have to put on there, or what. But that was one of the issues that I had to deal with, was the bed adhesion stuff and all the fun stuff with that. And the other thing, as I was, because I actually did print and put in these little silica packet things into the AMS, which, because I had high moisture in those AMS units, like it gives, there's not like an actual like humidity number that it gives, but it gives you like A through F rating, and I had like Fs on mine, so I'm like, I should probably fix that, because if I want to have PET G in there, that's going to be an issue. And so and this came partway through as I was making these little like silica pods that I filled with like the reusable silica dots or whatever, that like it was one of the spots where you had the old package of silica that came with the AMS. When I lifted that up, like I could see, like I could swipe with my finger the moisture that was in there. So I don't know if like it got saturated and mixed with like the desiccant stuff that was in that packet, and it made like a weird like filmy gooey thing, or what exactly it was, but it was definitely saturated. But as soon as I put in the new silica packets, it was immediately, it went from F to an A, like immediately. So that was good to see that stuff was working. So like a jar of like, I think it was like 11 pounds of that, like those like silica desiccant things was like, I don't know, like $15 or something like that, maybe $20, but it was well worth it because it immediately made it better. So that was also another one of the challenges with that PET G, is now I got to actually pay attention to moisture. So I had also printed off a bunch of they're like little pods that go in the center of the filament spool. Because when you're in the AMS, there's nothing actually going through the center. But if you're in the AMS Lite with the A1, the bamboo A1, it actually uses that to hold the spool, so you can have it on there, but you can have it on the AMS. So all of those I actually printed with clear PETG, which also had its own fun little issues, because when you have supports and stuff and you peel stuff off the plate, because it's clear, if you don't check, you can still have leftover clear pieces of plastic adhered to the build plate. So it was kind of hard to find it on some of them, where you're like angling the plate and you're looking at it and you're like, oh, yep, that's a speck right there. I gotta scrape that off a little bit and get the rest of that stuff off. So that was an interesting issue that I did not anticipate, that I probably should have with that clear filament. But I really do enjoy using that clear PETG. So I'm gonna probably do some 3D prints with some lanterns and other stuff that can utilize, because I have some other translucent colors that are like tinted lightly like green or blue or purple or whatever. So I haven't gotten to use those ones yet, but I've used the clear, and that one's been pretty fun, because I wanted to be able to see the color change on those little desiccant beads. So when I need to empty them out and just pop them in the oven, and then they release their moisture, and then you can use them again. So best like $15 or $20 I probably spent when it came to all of the different 3D printing stuff. So what have you been breaking, sir?
Well, that order for the acrylic cutouts I did for Columbia, so the acrylic stock I was using was 1/16 of an inch stock, and I could have cut it out on my laser, but I was like, oh, I can do a 24 by 24 inch sheet on my CNC versus having to cut that down to 12 by 24 for the laser and then have more waste. And I was like, I'll just do it on the CNC. But I am coming off of my holiday production season, which means my spoil board is a disaster. And I was just like, it's going to take more time if I have to redo the spoil board. And I think it's at the point where I'm going to have to full on replace it. I'm like, I'll just baby it along as much as I can. Well, that caused quite a bit of scrap that I had. So I had, the whole order was for, it was going to take 10 sheets of the 24 by 24 of acrylic, and I ended up using 14 sheets. So I had 4 full sheets of scrap because of just it moving around, because the tape wasn't adhering, and it wasn't great. So learn from me. If you think your spoil board needs to be replaced, just do it.
It's just, your spoil board is just MDF.
Yeah, it's just MDF, and so I've already resurfaced it at least 3 times, and so I think it's at the point where I can't resurface it anymore before it starts hitting the screws. So I need to replace it, and I just didn't want to deal with it. Especially because I had to literally put the CNC back together after having taken it apart for the move onto the new bench and everything. And so I rushed to get it back together so I could quickly do this, and then I could take it back apart again. And so it was a mess. And so I was like, but yeah, so it caused a lot more scrap than I wanted. And I actually ended up, because of that, I had only given myself a 2-sheet buffer. So I had to go buy 2 more sheets. I was going
to ask if you had to make a trip to the store.
Yeah, I had to make a trip to the store on Black Friday. Luckily, the acrylic store on Black Friday is dead. Nobody's there. I called him and was like, hey,
is it what kind of store? Like,
it's called Tap Plastics in Portland. They're specifically just an acrylic manufacturer. And they custom cut to your sizes and everything. They're really, really good. I've used them before. And so I call them, normally it's like a 12-hour turnaround for the custom size cutting. And so I called and said, hey, would you be able to have them tomorrow? Because I'm like, I still have time on Saturday. I could do them on Saturday. And they're like, oh, it's dead in here. We haven't had a single customer all day. I'll cut them while you drive over. I'm like, okay. So they were ready for me by the time I got there. So that was really nice. And yeah, so that was that. And then as part of my cleanup of the shop and the rebuild, I got rid of a bunch of junk and a bunch of trash and like stuff that's just been piling up. And then of course the old workbench I took apart. So I had a full load in my pickup truck that I took to the dump on Wednesday before Thanksgiving, which was really nice to get that out and done. It felt nice and open and clean. And the whole back section of the garage right now, or the shop, is completely clean. It's dust free. It's very beautiful. Won't stay that long away for long, but it's really nice right now.
Just a fleeting moment of time.
You're right. So that's all I've been breaking this week. And on that note,
here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
So as far as selling goes, so last weekend was Small Business Saturday. We're coming off of Thanksgiving. So that was my next market, and it was at another high school event. One I didn't do last year, but I had done the 2 years prior. And I didn't do it last year because, I had gotten into a larger market last year that I wanted to try, and it was a horrible experience. Will never go back to that market. So I went back to my original market for Small Business Saturday. And it wasn't great. There was plenty of people there-ish. It was a little slow at times, but I'd say it was steady all day. Though sales were still down over the year. So I was a little bit disappointed in that aspect. It wasn't my worst market ever. It was the worst market of this season so far. But I heard a lot of feedback from people that they had saw me already this season at another event and had already bought from me. So I kind of think I've reached the point where I'm oversaturating my little 10-mile radius of markets. And so I'm going to start venturing out next year in the holidays and do, like, out of my 5 shows I do, maybe I'll do 2 locally and do 3 farther away. And by farther away, I mean like on the other side of Portland, 30 miles away. But that will give me a whole new pool of customers, because it seems like this pool of customers, the people who are going to go to markets and then who are going to buy wooden items or are going to buy my type of games and stuff, I feel like I'm saturating that market pretty heavily, and it's time I need to start getting a new pool of customers. So, yeah.
And well, because depending on what the life cycle is of those customers, if it's like they buy one game and that's all they're there for, versus like other accessories and things that you make that they get for the home, or other games, because either they have to like go through and get everything, or you have to start making new products that they haven't seen before if it's the same crowd essentially.
Right.
But,
and I
yeah,
do,
it's easier.
Well, I basically go to the market with 30 different products all my markets. And this year, 8 of those 30 are new SKUs, are new things. So like I do have a good chunk of things that are new that people haven't seen, but it just really depends on if it's something that they want or not.
Right. Yeah. Because especially when you're experimenting with new stuff, you don't know how well it's going to sell, versus, hey, I've got my best sellers that I normally keep in stock. But if everyone who gets those best sellers already has one, then like you said, you've got to find more people in that demographic that is looking for those items. Because I'm sure that a lot of people could debate, is it easier to expand and continue making new products versus finding new customers? They each have their own challenges and their own legwork,
right.
Because do you travel more with the same stuff that you've proven to sell somewhere, or do you make a larger percentage of your new inventory, and take that risk on, is it going to sell, versus are they going to look for the next item because it wasn't what they were looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. And that so I think my at least attempt for next year is I'm going to try and do some farther away markets, and then just go to a couple of the big ones here locally, and then see if I can find some other ones in Portland to go to. So hopefully that'll be good. And with that said, my last market is coming up this coming weekend. So It's at a market I've been to, though this one is closer to my home, which is it's the closest one to our house, but which also means it's a little bit farther away from the other ones, because the other ones are my city in Vancouver is a very long, narrow city, and so like everything's been on the east side so far, and this one's on the west. So maybe it will be better on this side because it's a different crowd. But yeah, so we'll see. And then this isn't what I'm selling. This is for what you're buying. I just wanted to say I bought a PlayStation 5 on Black Friday because it was on Black Friday and it was good, really good deal, and it's something I've been wanting to play with for a while. So I bought a PS5. I have an Xbox.
What kind of games are you into?
So I like open world games like Grand Theft Auto and or racing games like Forza Horizon, Halo. Like those have always been my go-tos on Xbox. And PlayStation, for the longest time, I've been like, oh, I don't want to get another gaming system. But I really have wanted to play the Spider-Man games, and because they're open world Spider-Man games. And so I got it, and I've started playing number 1, and it's so fun. So yeah, so it's totally worth it. Plus, it was 25% off for Black Friday, so it was $100 off, which is a good deal.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I have been selling. Me. What about you?
I didn't have any markets or things over the Thanksgiving break, but I did actually have... so I think I had mentioned that I was doing a donation of 3D prints to... it's like a local thing that's for people in need for like that are at like the food assistance and whatnot. So they do like a holiday package that they give to kids. And so I had agreed to contribute some 3D prints as like toys to go into that package. And so originally it was going to be like after my mid-December market. But then the person told me like, hey, they moved up the time frame on us so that it's basically before then. So I got to get my stuff together, because what I was originally planning on doing was my original plan was going to be doing a lot of the like toothless 3D prints, but because of how the wings are, they don't like store well, they don't package well. So I am still putting in some of those in there, but I went over to other ones because with them having that deadline beforehand, what I was planning on doing was making a bunch of inventory, and then what ended up getting, bought in inventory, then I would kind of configure these, they're not gift baskets, but like the bags of the 3D prints that I'm donating would be, that was how I was going to be able to handle contributing to those, because it's like 72 of these, so it's not an insignificant amount of 3D prints to have. Like it takes a decent amount of time to do that. And so I went through what I had already printed and put together. Some of them are like a medium-sized 3D print, and then like a small 3D, well, I guess a large 3D print, and then like a small 3D print. And then because I wasn't going to do more of those toothless dragons because of how the wings were, I did a couple of like medium-sized 3D prints with a small 3D print. So then it was kind of like every package set was kind of different. So instead of like giving everyone the exact same thing, giving a little bit of variety in there. Because it's hard to plan for that, because you don't know who it's going to. So you don't know if it's boy, girl, age range, that kind of stuff. So you just try to include, like, I kind of stuck with Pokemon, Minecraft, and How to Train Your Dragon. Like those were the kind of the areas that I stuck in, just because they cover a big swath of interests that kids would probably actually like. So I got all those, like, I don't want to say packaged up, but I got them in like Ziploc bags so they can just be individually put into those when they actually do the packing, where they put all of the rest of the items into those boxes. So that's one less thing that I have to worry about. but now I've got to catch up on some of those 3D prints of some of those items that I did not originally plan to donate, that I got to build back some stock on. So I'm going to keep on printing a bunch of stuff to backfill all of those 3D printed items. That's all. That's all.
That's all. Okay. You normally give me some kind of notice.
Sorry, I just ran out of breath. I had a big meal. I'm breathing heavy. I already had a run earlier today. I'm a tired boy. It takes a lot to talk. A lot of energy.
Yeah, no, I get that. Sorry for the quiet, folks. Anyways, moving on.
Somebody's watching me. It's my anxiety.
Alrighty, so I've only got a couple of actual makers, but also some news. I didn't know if this was maker news because it's not really makers, but so we're going to start with this one. General Finishes and Trans Tent posted a comment together, or a reel on Instagram together. It looks like, I think General Finishes and Trans Tent are at least working together as a partnership, but I'm guessing General Finishes actually bought Trans Tent as a company, because they're coming out with a full new line of trans-tented General Finishes. So for makers out there who use General Finishes, it is one of the more popular ones out there. Now they have trans tent as part of it. So you can do your dyeing and your finishing all at the same time, which is actually kind of cool for guitar makers. As somebody who's working on a guitar currently, or designs one, I'm kind of interested in seeing how that will work with some of the maple, instead of having to dye it ahead of time. So that could be really interesting.
So is it kind of like how Rubio has the pre-colored finish, that kind of scenario?
That's what it seems like,
doing?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I didn't see this, so it was a surprise to me. I guess I never saw that collaboration coming.
Yeah, I didn't either. They did it, they announced it yesterday, so which would have been December 2nd. So yeah, it would have been, if those haven't seen it yet, you can go back onto their Instagram pages and find it. But yeah, it is an interesting combination.
Okay. My first one that I have, that I saw, is from Griffin Makes. That's Griffin.makes. And they made these fun leather ornaments for the tree. They're just like a circle. But they made the Snow Miser and the Hot Miser from the stop motion animation, The Year Without Santa Claus. That's the one where it's the like the guy who dresses up as Santa and he like goes in the roofs, and there's like the dude who has the like iron horse that's like steam powered or something like that, who's like the bad guy or whatever.
Yeah. I love those old movies.
Yeah, so it was really cool. Like they were very well made with the leather work, because it had the color added to it as well. So those look real nice.
Nice. Yeah, those the Santa Claus is Coming to Town, that the original one is key. Classic movie for me here in the winter time.
Well, and then the Rudolph stop motion, that one's a wonderful.
Rudolph, yep, and then you've got, of course, Frosty as well.
Yep.
But anywho, my next one, I wanted to say congratulations to Zyla. She posted today. She's on the Forbes 30 under 30 list for 2026. How freaking cool is that?
Yeah, and I think that's under because I did see that one, and I think that's under the like digital creator category.
Yeah,
I think,
the digital
the
creator section. Category.
But so yeah,
still,
that's
like
pretty cool.
Yeah, somebody we all know and is now on the. I'm shaking my camera a lot. Sorry, the somebody we all know on the Forbes 30 under 30, which is great. And also, she's under 30. Dang, I feel old.
It does make me feel old.
Yeah.
Just because you stole that one from me, because I had that in the announcement section, I'm gonna say that Mr. Alex Duffey released a YouTube video about Vectric AI tools, and it is his third most watched video of all time. So
Thanks for
congratulations
reading
to
my notes there.
Mr. Duffy.
Thank you. No, it's a great video. I really enjoy it. It's a combination of with me and Vetric. They had let me test the tool ahead of time, but yeah, it's people have been very interested in it. I've had lots of great comments on it. It blew up a lot faster than I thought it would, which I was excited about. So, but yeah, I had no idea you had the Xyla down there in notes. I didn't go that far down.
It's okay. Just continue your trend of thieving all of my things.
Well, and on that note, then this one's not on your list. Wormwoodcove.pnw here in, actually, he's local to me. He's in Vancouver, Washington. Posted that he's been working on this project for a while. It is a black walnut river table with black epoxy as the front section of a liquor cabinet, and then the sides and the carcass are all made from ash, stained black as well. But it is a gorgeous liquor cabinet. The live edge river is across the entire 3 doors of the cabinet, and it's got LED lighting on the inside. It just did an amazing job and knocked it out of the park. So if you're looking for inspiration on a good liquor cabinet, go check out wormwoodco.pnw.
So so it's like an upper version of like cabinets where it's like just hanging against the wall. Is that the style that it is with the 3 doors?
It's more like a hutch. It's a standalone, like 3 feet tall off the ground.
Oh, so are the doors like top to bottom, like vertical instead of horizontal?
No, it's still horizontal. It's a low boy. So it's a nice, like I said, it's more like a hutch.
Okay. So then the middle door probably has mostly epoxy and live edge. And then the outside doors are probably mostly wood, I'm guessing, depending on how they...
The river goes all the way through horizontally across all 3 doors.
Oh, okay. I'm getting it now. Sorry. I thought that the cabinet doors were like horizontally side by side, and then the board was like vertical with them, and the river was like in the middle. But the river is the river is horizontal,
right, across all 3 doors.
That makes a lot more sense now. That tracks a lot better. Okay. Last one that I have. This one is from KG Woodcraft, and he made these awesome sculptures. And I say sculptures just because it's like I have to look. I think it's a multi-material. But they are held up by these like copper rods and are like interconnected. And a lot of people have seen the original Avatar movie, the Blue People Avatar, not the Avatar Last Airbender. So like the floating mountains, if you remember that from the movie, it looks exactly like that, and it is super awesome. So that you look at those individual pieces, you can tell that it took a lot of times because they are 3-dimensional. These aren't just like 2D pieces; they are truly 3-dimensional. So the amount of time that it took to craft all of those, I'm sure, was a lot. So and it shows because it looks really awesome. So that's my last one that I've got.
I hate Peter Pan.
Yeah, I had nothing for this week's topic, so that's a random one. So this week's topic is all about rough wood.
That's what she said.
And we're talking about wood and rough or milled wood. So going off of that, Alex, how would you like to start this discussion?
I mean, I can tell you all about my wood.
That's what she said.
You're just going to have that button on repeat, aren't you?
What?
Anyway, so on this discussion, I am generally on the rough milled wood side. And that is mainly because I know
the guy who's always talking about milling up his own wood.
Yeah. So, and that's mostly because a lot of the projects that I have require thicker slabs, and having thicker slabs, it's already per unit volume more, but if you also add in the processing of that, it also makes it more expensive. And then if it is milled, usually you don't find a whole lot of pre-milled pieces that are in that like 2-inch thick material. So usually that's where I find the material is in the rough state to begin with. And usually it's because it's more expensive, it's a little bit more palatable when it is in the rough state. And I've got a little bit more room to work with to get the dimensions and thickness from those boards. So I have done a lot on that side of things. And of course I have the tools to process that stuff to get it so that it is that nice finished thickness that I have, which sometimes can take a while to get down to that thickness, especially if you've got that like one low spot that you're trying to deal with. It does come with its own challenges of getting everything to the same thickness, and if you've got a larger project with multiple boards, if you've got one that's not quite as thick as the other and you're trying to get everything nice and even, it can get a little bit tedious at times.
Yeah, I would say, like, for me, I started buying mostly rough because I was trying to save money and I was doing wood turning, so I needed the thicker wood anyway. But as I've moved into the CNC world, I find that I pretty much only buy milled or a combination of semi-milled, like S2S lumber, so that I can throw products out on the CNC a lot faster. So it's funny you say you can't really find it. So that is something I'm luckily enough that I live in the Pacific Northwest, and we have some incredible sawyers and lumber locations around us. So like, for example, Gobi Walnut, their thick slab material and stuff, like they pre-finish all or surface all of that for you.
Yeah, you've got world-class slabs guys in your backyard. I mean,
I do, but even my local guy Mark from Woodwind LLC, he does a, like, I would say half between raw and milled. He'll actually go get it surfaced somewhat. He won't take it all the way down to all the lows, but
skip planed.
Yeah, a little bit more than skip planed, because it is sanded to 60 grit. So like it is, because he runs it through. He takes it to Gobi and uses their big plane sander, and runs stuff through. But he doesn't sand it all the way down. So it's a little bit of a mix of the two. So I'm really lucky in that aspect. And so for me, like if I'm doing production runs of things, I'll buy milled or S3S lumber. And then if I'm doing high-end projects or one-off projects, then I'll go to like Mark, or I'll go to Gobi and I'll buy the raw stuff and I'll break it down myself and do that, because that, to me, not saying that my mass production stuff is cheap quality. It's just, it is a faster build, and I'm not looking for those specifically figured woods. I'm not taking that level of that time and effort that you will on, making a cabinet versus making a game board type thing. So,
and really quick terminology for those who are not familiar with what S2S or S3S or S4S means. So that is surface two sides. So that means the top and the bottom are flat and essentially planed. And then your edges on the sides are going to be probably rough or not aligned. And then S3S is one straight edge on the side, and S4S is going to be all four sides planed, nice and square, is what at least what it's supposed to be. Sometimes it warps after the fact.
Yeah, think about going to Home Depot when you buy the lumber there. We're not talking the construction 2x4s, but their common boards or their ash or hardwood commons. Those are S4S because they are sanded on all four sides, though they, warp and are horrible. But
and that's one of the reasons I do a lot of rough lumber, is because if you buy it pre-milled and you're doing large projects, warping can have more issues for you, because the weather, or the not weather conditions, but like humidity and temperature have changed in between, and the conditions that it was in when it was milled can be different than what they are in your shop, and then that can cause a little bit of warping, bowing, just general movement, which can pose a challenge if you don't have the materials or the tools to like remill those to get them nice and square again, which it's not always the case, but it happens.
Well, and that is actually something to pay attention to when you buy milled wood. When you bring it into your shop, don't immediately start cutting it. Let it sit in your shop for at least a week to let that moisture content set. If you do need to start cutting it right away, then you need to make sure that you're getting it to its final form that same day. If not, you'll need to wrap it in some type of material like saran wraps, for example. If, let's say, you cut all your boards down to 24-inch boards lengths, then wrap those in saran wrap to hold that moisture content in so it doesn't leak out and immediately warp overnight. So that is something I learned early on, because I'd go buy a bunch of lumber and I'd be like, all right, I'm going to mill it all, cut it to the right size, and so then I can just start working on the CNC or working other thing. And I wasted so many boards that would then twist and warp on me, because as they resettled in my place after I cut them, they were then warping as the moisture moved again. So
yeah, which, I mean, you can also set other boards on top of that to add weight to help reduce the effects of that happening, and on top of what you were talking about, wrapping with saran wrap to keep the moisture from changing drastically. And one other thing too, is that because I had mentioned not getting quite as much material at the thickness when it's rough, or when it's pre-milled, it expands your options for what you can use if you're able to process the rough sawn lumber. It doesn't mean that you have to. It just gives you more options. And what also comes with more options is if you are working with someone who is a smaller shop, or someone who's just like a weekend milling person, and you're buying rough sawn lumber, you need to be able to ask a couple of questions about it to understand what kind of state it's in, because not all rough sawn lumber is created equal. Because you can find so many people sawing up lumber on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, and you will get a very, very wide swath of experience level. And you just got to know the questions to ask to understand what kind of product it is that you are actually getting.
My favorite is when I see a post on one of those comments says, calling all woodworkers, wood is ready right now. It was cut this morning. And I'm like, no, that is not ready.
If you're a turner, maybe.
Yeah, well, not in the slab form. It's not. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're, yeah. So in a lot of this stuff, Shannon over at the Lumber Industry Update, he covers a lot of this stuff about like questions to ask while you are purchasing wood. So I'll just try to give you the cliff notes, but just asking them how it was dried, how long it was dried, is going to let you know, is this green wood that is going to need time to dry versus is it actually ready now to use. Because another thing too is, especially with walnut, is if you get walnut from any of your like big box stores, that's going to be steamed walnut in most scenarios. And what that means is that they added in a steaming step to even out the brown color. Whereas if you don't do that steaming step, you get more variation in color, and that's how you get some of the like the colors in the sap, like the light sapwood, and then the kind of the reds and purpley colors, as opposed to if it gets steamed, then some of that sapwood turns to that like darker brown color. Not to be confused with the steam process of actually kiln drying. There's
a different
process
processes
of kiln drying that utilizes steam, but not steaming the wood itself to change the color. Because how they use that steam is they want to control what the humidity is like as you are drying the wood. Because if you just take it and like remove all of the humidity super duper fast, it's going to change structure quickly because you take all of that moisture out. So they have to do it at a prescribed schedule to yield the best results. And there's like dehumidification kilns and steam kilns. I can't remember the other types of. I can't remember if the eye dry kilns are dehumidification. But if you get something from someone who has an eye dry, usually it's pretty good because eye dry like basically has all the settings for them.
Well, and also when they say it's dry, make sure when you also like it's been aged and it's dry. Well, was it kiln dried or what? Or are we talking air dried? Because you also need to think about if it's air dried, you could be bringing bugs into your wood shop as well. So you do need to, especially depending on where was it in an open barn air drying, or versus like where you do it in a cellar or in a basement. Like there are different ways.
The other thing too that I have found, because I spent a while asking about different lumber posts that I saw stuff, because usually you can tell by the pricing who actually knows what they're doing versus who doesn't. Because if you have someone who's trying to sell walnut logs for the same price as fully processed like walnut boards, they obviously don't understand what they're doing, and just stay away from them because they think, oh, it's a log, it's worth this much. Well, it's like, well, there's labor involved with it. It's like, it's not the same as it's the same as like people saying, oh, this mountain over here is, it's worth this many dollars because there's gold ore in it. And it's like, well, you still have to dig it out of the ground and process it and get it to where it needs to go. And there's labor involved and there's costs involved. So that that's how you arrive at that price for it, is that there's certain things that happen to get to that stage. And it's the same thing with wood. But I find just asking the question of how was this dried, and if they can speak to it at length, usually they know what they're doing. But if they don't know what they're doing and they're like, what's like, oh yeah, it's just like you said, oh yeah, we just cut it up this morning and it's dry. I was like, oh no, that's not. And you can get a super duper cheap moisture meter to help you verify that. And the one trick that I learned is, if you take a board of the same species that you know to be dry, and you have like a pinned or a pinless meter, pin being you stick it into the wood itself to measure the moisture, or pinless, which is it just kind of scans, kind of like a stud finder almost. And you find that the moisture content is similar between those two, you should be fine.
Right.
Because it's going to depend on your region, on what the moisture is. So if you take something that's like a piece of scrap, that's like your test board, that will help you understand what it's like. Because like I bought a bunch of, it was like maybe 30 or 40 spalted maple boards from a guy that was like 2 hours away from me, and they had been storing them in their like small airplane hangar is where it was to dry, and it had been there for a couple of years. So I did the same thing where I took a maple board with me to understand, okay, yeah, this is pretty dry. So that will tell you mostly what you will need to know if you are scouring some of those. And one other thing that you can do if you want to find good lumber dealers in your area is, if you're at like a generic lumber yard that has like mainly construction lumber, which is generally softwoods, stuff that we are not using for like the type of woodworking projects that we do with hardwoods, is you can just ask them like, hey, I'm looking for a good source for walnut or whatever, and generally they have heard that question before, and they might have an answer for you, like, oh yeah, go to XYZ, they have stuff, and they'll send you on your way. And you can ask a couple of different places and see what you get for recommendations. I mean, you can search for sawyers in your area. You can also search for I think the Wood Miser database has like a database of people who have wood misers for milling that you can also ask.
And you can also
a little
just
bit more down a rabbit hole, though.
Reach out to your other local makers, or like we're all part of Discords, or Facebook groups or stuff. Like, for example, one of our listeners, Greg, who lives up in Seattle, he recently told me about a place here in Portland I had no idea that existed. And they've got a lot of exotics, which I was looking for a good place for exotic wood. So I actually need to go check them out here after the holidays. But yeah, so reach out to, just post to your groups on Facebook or Instagram or wherever and just be, hey, where do you guys get your wood? Who do you recommend? Who's got, good for what or for this? Because not everybody's going to have great deals for everything. For example, like Gobi, I'll go to for walnut, but I don't go for them for anything else because their pricing isn't the greatest on other things. Mark, on the other hand, is pretty fantastic on walnut and maple, but that's pretty much what he carries. He doesn't carry a lot of other things like ash or red oak or anything like that. So he's pretty, because he does mostly
I literally
domestic.
just saw him post about having red oak recently, though.
He did. That was the first time he's ever had red oak, or at least that I'm aware of. So it does happen, but it's funny that you say that. That's why I said red oak, and I was like, oh, I did just see that post. But like he had hickory once, but it was a one-off because it was a tree that he had gotten from somebody for one-off. But so he's not. But he's always got maple and walnuts. My comment is once you find places, you'll create a database in your head of places that you will go to, but for only certain things. And don't don't be afraid to do that, because you're going to save money that way versus going to Rockler to buy all your wood from Rockler. Like, that's expensive and that's going to cost a lot more. So
yeah, I mean, they're probably okay for like turning blanks and stuff, but once you start getting to bigger boards, you can burn a hole in your pocket pretty quick.
It's funny, even the turning blanks can get pretty pricey there, and they do have a discount bin that I've perused occasionally. But there is a guy locally to me. I found him on Facebook Marketplace. He just cuts up turning blanks because he's a logger, and he just sees fun trees and he'll cut up the green blanks and just sells them green. So,
yep, because for those of you who are not turners, turning is much easier when the wood is still wet. You get some natural lubrication in there, less chips.
I prefer it dry.
Just gonna let that sit for a second. Just let it sink in. Also, it's bold of you to assume that people listening to this have friends that they can ask stuff. That's a very large assumption.
Anyone who's listening to this is a friend of mine, and they can ask me a question anytime. So
I thought they were all just your constituents.
Any answer. No, absolutely not.
Your friendly neighborhood mayor.
Yeah. Which, by the way, thank you to everybody who reached out for my birthday. It was my birthday right before Thanksgiving, and I had lots of mayor jokes and comments. So thank you to each and every one of you that reached out. It was appreciative. So
I'm sorry that I missed the boat on your birthday. I'm the worst.
I was like, where's Alex's comment? He didn't send me a comment. It's okay. I don't know your birthday either.
That's fine.
So, anywho, yeah, that's what I've got. Do you have anything else you wanted to cover?
I mean, I think the main takeaways that we have here are that I think it just depends on your use case, what makes sense, at least in the lens of rough versus pre-milled lumber. And I think, as you kind of alluded to before, like, you're honestly not going to really, like, quote unquote, save money milling it yourself, because that's already kind of built into the cost. And the amount of time that it takes, I mean, you could be doing other stuff and be further along in your project. So I think it's at least from my perspective, it's less about, can I cost save more versus what kind of options does this give me? Because if you do have the tools to process rough sawn lumber, you have more options when it comes to I mean, especially in my world, like figured woods.
Right.
But if you're dealing mainly with like straight grain stuff, it's like, does it really matter? Like in the extra time that it takes to mill it, like you already know what it's going to look like if it's all straight grain. So there's not quite as much benefit there in terms of, you know, what you're getting. I mean, not all of us have Gobi walnut in our backyard, so maybe there's not quite as much options there, but I mean, not everyone is making, you know, 4-inch thick or 6-inch thick mantles or stuff like that. So that's a little bit of a different category, but I mean, for the most part, you can get things in the 1 and 1.5 inch sizes. But
speaking of that thickness, it's funny. Speaking of the Gobi, they posted the other day that they have a bunch of 12 and 16 quarter in stock currently. And I was like, dang, that's some thick boys. I haven't seen.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, it's all walnut too. So,
and one other thing that I will point out to people, I'm not trying to shame Braden and Dan, but if you buy thicker lumber, be very careful about resawing, because that is a big can of worms that you can open if you are not properly prepared for that. Because, and that also depends on how well the wood is actually dried. Because think of that like even if it is properly dried, changing the structure of the wood and how it is intertwined together with all of the bonding of the cell structure, when you cut through the center of that, you change the configuration of that. And unless it is like really clean quarter sawn, even if it is quarter sawn of whatever species of lumber, you can release some tension in there and you may end up with cupped slabs as a result, or cupped boards, whatever dimension. You don't have quite as much risk if your board gets smaller, but that's just something to keep in mind. Because generally speaking, especially if I'm working with someone to actually saw up a log, I will saw with a little bit more thickness so then I can plane it down flat because of movement and whatever as it dries. And I generally don't risk resawing those like large, thicker boards because of that scenario. I will generally try and mill them down. So just make sure and account for the extra amount of change in warping that will probably happen if you are resawing. So if you think you're going to save money by cutting it super thick and then, you know, resawing it or later on because that's what you found, just be careful and be prepared for some warping to occur. You can have great results if you do resaw that, but you just got to make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into.
I will also say, as my last comment, just remember when you go to these lumber yards and stuff that you are a small cookie. All of us here are just makers. Like, we're not massive, department stores making massive amounts of furniture and pumping stuff out. So just remember you are a small cookie. So don't get in the way of their larger customers. That was one of the advice I was given very early on by somebody, which was, when you go to some of these stores, if there's a bigger client there and they're being helped first, or you were there, let them go ahead, because one, you'll score points with that lumber person because they know that that's a bigger client. But two, it's just courtesy. You're small potatoes. So
speak for yourself. I'm just kidding. And sometimes, especially if you are forging some of those relationships, it is good if it is a place that you're getting it from the first time, just buy something while you're there. I mean, we've all been there where you've had someone shop your stuff and then ask a bunch of questions and leave without getting anything. So if you are scoping out one of those places, at least try to have something in mind that you're purchasing there, so that, like, if you come back again, they know that you mean business because you actually have purchased something there before. Even if it's like just a couple of boards, it's like, okay, like they are actually here to spend money. So the next time that I see them, I know that they're like, it just kind of helps grease the wheels for conversations so that you don't get dismissed, so that they know that you're not just some rando kicking the tires all the time. So just go there with some intention.
Perfect.
Good news, everyone.
Well, I would have news if you hadn't stolen it. Jerk.
Well, our news is after the holidays, we're going to schedule our next Patreon chat and meetup. So how, if they want to be part of that, how do they do that?
Well, you can go to patreon.com/whatchamakinshow, and you can add any of those beautiful tiers and be a patron that way, and you will get notified of when we will have that, and you will get the link, and you will get to join us, and it will be a great time.
Great time. So remember, 15 days until Christmas. So get making, folks. And until we talk to you again.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Good night, everybody.
Night. This one's rough.